So, hello everyone. You can scan this QR code. Oh, yeah, you can scan this QR code, add your questions during the presentation, and we will get to them at the end. So, let's begin. What if the best way to prevent fires in production was to ignite controlled ones in your development environment?
Hi, I'm Theo. I'm a software engineer at Grafana.
And I'm Ayush, a software engineer at Grafana. And in the next 25 minutes, we will tell you how K6 can help you build more reliable systems and show you how there's never been a better time to pick it up.
But first, let's ensure we're all on the same page. I heard a couple of people saying woo when we mentioned K6. So K6 is a reliability testing tool. So what that concretely means is it's both a command line tool and a Grafana cloud application. And what it allows you to do is essentially verify that your app works. So it works in 3 phases. The first step is you write a test script. It can be in JavaScript, or it could be in TypeScript. And you're going to reproduce your user journeys or specific workflows in your infrastructure or your application. The next step is to have K6 run that script, and it's going to simulate concurrent users actually performing those workflows. And along the way, it's going to collect measurements, samples, and aggregate them into metrics. And finally, once K6 is done, what it's going to do is provide you with a summary of the test results and actionable insights that will help you to assess the situation and take decisions. And finally, the big tent was mentioned right before, and K6 fit right into this because you can also send those metrics and those samples to your favorite observability stack.
Theo here used quite a fancy term, reliability testing, which just sounds complicated, but it is not. In practice, it helps in battle testing your application as you develop it. The whole idea is while the Grafana LGTM stack helps you discover and root cause issues, reliability testing enables you to prevent those issues from ever happening in first place.
And if I was in the audience right now, I might be thinking, I'm already doing unit testing, integration testing, end-to-end testing maybe, if I'm fancy. Ayush, is yet another layer of testing the solution to all my problems?
We think so, as no plan survives the real world. And despite all those testing practices, bugs still reach real-world use cases. CI pipelines still go red. Even if you're running all your tests before merging any branch, somehow the main branch always gets red. I don't know why. And that's precisely what reliability testing is all about. Testing your application from the user perspective in real-world conditions. And K6 is a tool which helps you do that. For example, to check if your system can handle all the traffic which your marketing team is promising, K6 can help you do load testing. To verify that the UI of your website looks exactly what your design team thinks it should, K6 can help you with browser testing. To validate individual application functionalities, you can use K6 to perform functional testing. And last but not least, you can modify K6 to do contract testing at all.
So today, after 9 years of development and countless iterations, we're really happy to announce that the very first stable version of K6, version 1.0, is out and ready for you to grab. Thank you. It matters because now K6 is officially stable and production ready. It ships with a ton of new features, a ton of bigger and smaller improvements to make your reliability testing journey even smoother. And there's just never, ever been a better moment to get started with K6 and testing. But let's make this more concrete and give you a short peek of what's in it for you. People who already use K6, more seasoned users, knew that we always treated K6 as if it was stable. But with version 1.0, we now officially acknowledge and bring the guarantees along that stability probably means to you. And so what does it mean in general for us to say that K6 is stable? Well, it revolves around 3 main axes. Semantic versioning, you're probably familiar with it, but the gist means that we're going to stick to it strictly, and you can expect a new major version roughly every year. And we'll keep shipping features, non-breaking features and fixes along the way, but breaking changes and deprecations will be only acknowledged with major versions. We also now have support guarantees. What that means is if you pick up K6 today with K6 version 1, you can expect to receive critical bugs and security fixes for at least 2 years or 2 major versions. And finally, when you will dive into K6, you will see that we have a pretty rich ecosystem of extensions and tooling, and most of those are built on our code base. And before everything was considered moving parts, now we have a public API surface. So when you pick the K6 code base to build extensions, you know exactly what we are going to support for the next 2 years and what we won't.
Now, this is something our community of awesome developers was asking for a very long time. And finally, we are shipping it. First-class TypeScript support. Now you can write more robust, predictable, and easier to maintain tests with type safety and IDE autocomplete. This allows you to easily reuse your existing TypeScript code and types directly in your K6 tests. Next, extensions. So, as you have seen till now, K6 is quite versatile and allows you to do a lot of things. But a single team and a single tool can only satisfy a limited use cases. That's why K6 already allowed you to extend its functionalities using extensions to add support for new features and protocols. But you needed a dedicated tool to first bring everything together, build a binary, and use it. With K6 v1, we are streamlining that process completely. You just have to push your custom extension, add it to your script, just add its name, and directly start using it. No custom binaries, no special tools needed at all. To give you a good analogy, think of how GitHub Actions work. If you want to use a custom action in your workflow, you just specify its name, make it accessible by a public repository or direct access, and just run your workflow. That's how the extensions will work in K6 v1. But, so this is a very complicated feature. Hence, we are doing a phased rollout of it with cloud test runs supporting it now, and the support for K6 CLI coming in recent future.
Another big improvement is one improvement that was one of the most requested feature for K6. We've completely revamped the end of test summary, which is what most of our users use to extract insights from the test results. So with this new summary, we have modernized it, we have enriched the results that we provide, and basically it revolves around 3 main axes. So we have created a complete hierarchical output. Before that, we were showing you everything. Now metrics are grouped by scenario, by groups, which is also a concept in K6, and very specific categories. Another thing is we have improved thresholds because we considered they were a bit confusing before. Now we have completely changed how those are displayed, as well as checks. And finally, if you only need the big picture and you're like, just show me what I care about, the summary by default will be in a compact mode, focusing only on what we believe is the most important thing you should see. But if you want the full picture with full granularity, you can also use a specific mode, which we call the full mode.
Now, although there are so many more additional features, we would like to bring your attention to these 2 new additions to the K6 ecosystem. First is the OpenAPI to K6 converter, which allows you to take an existing OpenAPI schema, convert it to a TypeScript client, and use it directly in a K6 test without using any boilerplate code to send request or do any other thing. And the next is K6 Studio, which is a desktop application, a no-code tool, which you can use to generate K6 tests without writing any code. Now, in place of just talking about all the things, we would like to show you how everything comes together and looks. So let's have some demo.
Yeah, let's switch to the demo screen, please. There you go. Thank you very much. All right. In the K6 department, we're very, very fond of pizza. We have endless debates about how to cut them, for instance. So because we need to provide a real-world application to our users to test it, we built QuickPizza. On the surface, this is a pretty simple website. It has this big orange button, Pizza Please. And when you press it, what it does is generate a pizza recipe for you. But in practice, under the hood, this is a real-world application with a lot of protocols and a lot of data moving around and so on. So it's an actual really good testing target. And what I'm going to do now is I want to write a script with K6 that's going to allow me to verify that the app is online, that it's up and running, and that it does what I expect it to do. But let me show you in practice what that looks like. Yeah, never too eager with security. Basically, this is a K6 script, and of course, you're probably noticing, this is TypeScript. Before K6 version 1, the only supported language was JavaScript, and it caused a lot of issues. But now with TypeScript, we can start doing really interesting things. The first one being, in this case, I copy-pasted the code, but you might notice that here I import some types, and I import some functionalities. Well, right now, this is some types that I copied, but you could perfectly take the types directly from your code base, if it was written in TypeScript, and import it from a K6 script. It will just work. And why does that matter? Because in this script, what we're doing is we're going to test the website at the protocol level. So I want to make sure that I shoot an HTTP request to it, and I actually get a response that looks the way I want. And I'm going to simulate that when I click this button, the REST API that's under the hood actually responds the way I expect it to respond. And so to do that, here we define a scenario. This is a bit of a detail. If you know already about K6, you're aware of it. Otherwise, I invite you to take a look. But in this test, we're going to group the results to also show you how the end of test summary makes this really, really nice. We're going to group two functionalities that we're testing. The first one, we want to make sure that the website is up and running. And here, with TypeScript, we can actually get some proper type definition support. And we can make sure that we don't make mistakes and we provide the right values. If I were to change the type of the refined response, I would get a warning. We also have like this assertion framework that's shipping right now also with K6. And what we do is we shoot our request, we verify we get the proper status code, and we verify that it's HTML. And to simulate pressing the button, we can actually send the HTTP request to the API. And here, we actually get a lot of benefit from TypeScript because we can leverage the types that we have just imported. And in this case, what it's basically going to be doing is just making sure that everything fits into place and everything looks exactly how I want. With those expect statement, if anything doesn't, the test immediately stops and gives you a nice warning. But the really nice thing is that you don't have to simulate pressing that button. You can actually press it for real. In the scenarios, you might have noticed that we have this UI scenario. And what this does, it's going to leverage our browser module, which has an API that's Playwright compatible. And we can actually open a browser in the background, which is Google Chrome. It's going to be in headless mode. You're not going to see it, but you could if you wanted with an option. And we're going to go to the page. We're going to click the button, take a screenshot just to be sure that things look the way we expect. And then we can do the same thing. We can verify that the actual div shows it has the right title, and so on and so forth. But to show you in practice how that looks like, and let's pray the demo gods to be on our side. So the two scenarios are running in parallel. The UI always takes a bit more time because you need to spawn Google Chrome. But you see, this is the kind of results you get. So if we start from the top, we have the overall results. And here you're going to see results specific to each protocols that you've been using or technologies that you've been using. So in this case, we did some HTTP and we used the browser. And the really nice improvement here, and people who might be seasoned K6 user will know about, is that we also show you the scenarios and the groups that were actually used inside. And all those results are specific to the scenario or the group that you have defined in the past. And now I'm going to pass to Hayush, who's going to show you about OpenAPI and K6 Studio.
Thanks. So let me just drag it down. So let's say you are already working on a backend application. You might be adding new requests. Since it's in active development, you might be changing the existing ones. And you don't want to keep your performance test manually changing. Like as Theo showed, like you are sending a request, you have to change the request structure, maybe response structure. So that's why we have the OpenAPI to K6 converter. It's a command line tool. You can conveniently use help command to see all the different arguments and everything it takes. You can install it with NPM. And here, we are using the same QuickPizza application and convert its OpenAPI schema to a TypeScript client. So I'll just copy this code, and we'll quickly explain what it's doing. So after writing the tool name, we are giving it a path to the OpenAPI schema. It can be a URL, it can be a local file path, anything. then I'm not concerned about all the requests which are defined in the schema because I'm only concerned on the user's one. So I'm filtering it with the only tags user. Last, I'm giving it the path where it should generate this client. And last, including a sample script so that I can get started very easily. Let's just run it. And here we go. The client is generated. This is the TypeScript client. You're not expected to modify it directly. And this is the sample script. I'll just remove some of the requests so that we can easily take a look at others. So we'll now go with the admin login and logout. And as you can see, it generated the sample data for me as well from the examples. So if you have like examples and types defined in your schema, it will generate them for you. In the register user, for example, you can see it generated all the types because as Theo showed you right now, he added the pizza types and everything. And I'm not fond of too much manual code. So that's why it's completely automated. You have all the types and everything present. And let's take a look at how it works. I don't want to see the code to know the response structure as well. So what I will do here is start typing the response data and see what it has. It has data in response. I'll go with data. And it already has a username. That's helpful. I'll replace the password and add a base URL here. So I'll be using the localhost one. It's already running. And that's it. And let's say like there are some things I'm not defined already. For example, the CSRF token I know is returned in the cookie. Oops. So yeah, because of the TypeScript, like the cursor is also helping me complete things directly. And that's it. Like you can just directly run it. And voila, everything works. We have the CSRF token cookie printed and everything. So if you add a new request or change anything, you can just regenerate the client at all. Now, let's take a step further. Like, I don't even want to write this much code. So I'll switch to K6 Studio. And as I mentioned, it's a no-code tool. You have 3 stages. You start with a recorder. It will give you a browser window. You can go through your whole user flow, and the application will record all the requests and responses. Then you create a generator where you can define rules to modify the behavior of individual request or the data. And then you can do a validation run, which will be a single virtual user run of seeing everything works or not. And then you can export it to a K6 script or directly run it on Grafana Cloud. So let's take a quick look. I'll again use QuickPizza. So as soon as I hit start recording, it will give me this browser which is connected to the application. We'll do a normal user login flow. So let's use the default ID and password. Sign in. And I was successfully able to sign in. Let's just close this. And as you can see, it recorded everything which generated from the browser, even the static assets. We are not concerned about them right now, so I'll just hit stop recording. I'll see like everything looks good. I'll create a test generator. Here you can filter on the domains. I'm only concerned about QuickPizza.grafana. So I'll just hit continue. And as you can see, we have all the request and response recorded. Let's just do a validation script right now and see what happens. Oh, we are getting 401s in the actual login request which we are trying to test. Let's see what it's showing. Invalid CSRF token. So that's because the recorded CSRF token is hard-coded, and we want to manually change it. In one of these requests, we must be getting the CSRF token, and going through all is tedious. So let's just search where we are getting the token. Here it is. It's in this request, response headers. So these are the test rules we can use. We already have a default verification one, which checks the response status directly for us. And we'll add a new rule, correlation, which will extract and reuse dynamic data. So I want to extract the CSRF token from response headers. So I'll just change the target to header. I know it begins with CSRF token is equals to and ends with a semicolon. And that's it. As you can see, let me remove this. It extracted the value from this request automatically and replaced it in the actual login one with the payload. As you can see, it automatically got converted to a variable. If you want, like, you can customize the selector and replace it to individual request. And let's see what happens if we run the validation now. And yeah, it worked. We have a new CSRF token already. We can rerun it and see if what happens. And again, we have a new token fetched from the previous request and replaced automatically. And that's it. So we can now save this generator to reuse it if we need, or we can directly export the script here, get it stored, and use it anywhere you like. You can use K6 CLI, run it in cloud, in your CI, everywhere. So now you have like a script without writing any code at all. And yeah, that's it for the demo. Let's switch back to the slides.
So to wrap up, K6 version 1 marks our first stable production-ready release of K6 with a dedicated support path and explicit guarantees. So if you pick it up today, we got your back for the years to come. It's also now easier than ever to leverage the K6 ecosystem. I mentioned extensions. We have a couple of libraries out there that people can use and a couple of projects that are built on top of it. And with this ecosystem, it becomes easier and easier along the way to integrate reliability testing inside of your CI pipelines or your development pipelines. And finally, with the addition of the OpenAPI code generation, as well as with the K6 Studio app, we think that testing is actually made even easier for both larger groups and larger organizations, which might not want to have to write the whole code for testing their application when the code for their application is already there and ready to use. But also for people or team that either don't know how to code or don't have the patience to actually learn to code for K6 or even to code at all. And before we leave you with this talk, I want to make sure to send out a very big thank you to everyone who contributed features, filed or fixed bugs along the way. Like I said, it's been almost 10 years. Same for all the people out there who wrote extensions that will allow users to use specific technologies that we don't necessarily have the need to support in the core, but that people pick up along the way. And so yeah, a massive thank you for all of you who have contributed. If you want to learn more about K6, in case you're on the newer side, you can scan this QR code. It will get you to our Get Started documentation page. And as always, we'd love to hear your feedback. K6 is what it is because of our users, our contributors, and all the feedback we have received over the years. You can find us on GitHub, and you can also find us at the Ask the Experts booth right after. And yeah, see you there. Thank you very much.